Good morning and welcome to the Breakfast News on Rajya Sabha TV. I'm Aishwarya Kapoor. Now, we don't need 4 points, we need just one. Give up terrorism. Sushma Swaraj tells Pakistan at the United Nations. That's our big story. And also in our top international focus, now 13 people are dead in another US shooting. We'll get you all the details. Let's begin with the headlines. India's strong response to Pakistan's peace plan. External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj says Pakistan must give up terrorism. Prime Minister returns to the Bihar campaign trail, will address a rally in Banka today. 13 people killed in college shooting in Oregon in US. 20-year-old gunman shot down by police. Angry President Barack Obama demands greater gun controls. White House says the Russian airstrikes in Syria are indiscriminate. Russia says it is targeting IS and other militant groups. And the nation pays homage to Mahatma Gandhi on his birth anniversary. Well, our top focus, India has given a strong response to Pakistan Prime Minister's proposal of a 4-point peace plan on the Kashmir issue at the UNGA. Now, External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj minced no words while telling Pakistan that all it needs is a 1-point plan, that is, to end terrorism.
India's hard-hitting response to Pakistan Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif's proposed 4-point peace plan to resolve the Kashmir issue.
कल इसी मंच से पाकिस्तान के प्रधानमंत्री जी ने पाकिस्तान और भारत के बीच शांति पहल का एक 4 सूत्रीय प्रस्ताव रखा था। मैं उसका उत्तर देते हुए कहना चाहूँगी, 4 सूत्रों की ज़रूरत नहीं है, एक ही सूत्र काफ़ी है। आतंकवाद छोड़िए और बैठकर बात करिए।
After the Pakistan Prime Minister's statement at the UNGA, India had said it will exercise its right to reply. Sushma Swaraj pressed the world community to ensure that countries which provide finances, safe havens and arms to terrorists pay a heavy price.
हम में से कोई भी आतंकवाद को शासन के एक वैध हथियार के रूप में स्वीकार नहीं कर सकता। सन 2008 में मुंबई में हुए आतंकवादी हमलों के बाद समूचा विश्व आक्रोशित हुआ था। इन हमलों में केवल भारत के नागरिक नहीं, बल्कि अनेक देशों के निर्दोष नागरिक बड़ी बेरहमी से मार दिए गए थे। मैं समझती हूँ कि अंतर्राष्ट्रीय समुदाय के लिए अपमान की बात है कि इन हमलों की योजना बनाने वाला आतंकवादी सरेआम खुला घूम रहा है।
Sushma also said that Pakistan has not honored past assurances on ending cross-border terrorism.
आतंकवाद के संबंध में पूर्व में दिए गए आश्वासनों पर अमल करने की बात तो दूर, सीमा पार से हाल ही में भारत में नए हमले हुए हैं। 2 हमलों में तो हमने सीमा पार के 2 आतंकवादी जिंदा पकड़े हैं। हम सब जानते हैं कि ये हमले भारत में अस्थिरता फैलाने और भारत के जम्मू और कश्मीर राज्य के कुछ हिस्सों पर पाकिस्तान द्वारा किए गए अवैध कब्जों को वैध बनाने और शेष पर उसके दावे को पुष्ट करने के उद्देश्य से किए जा रहे हैं।
The External Affairs Minister also underlined that India is willing to respond to any serious and credible steps from Pakistan taken towards addressing terrorism.
मैं याद दिलाना चाहूंगी कि ठीक यही चर्चा आप दोनों प्रधानमंत्रियों के बीच, पाकिस्तान और भारत के प्रधानमंत्रियों के बीच उफा में हुई थी। आप दोनों में ये सहमति बनी थी कि सीमा पर शांति बनाए रखने के लिए दोनों देशों के DGMOs आपस में बात करेंगे और आतंकवाद से संबंधित हर मुद्दे पर बात करने के लिए दोनों देशों के NSAs, राष्ट्रीय सुरक्षा सलाहकार, आपस में बात करेंगे। वो बैठकें अभी तक हो नहीं पाई हैं। हम चाहते हैं कि वो बैठकें हों और मैं इस मंच से विश्वास दिलाती हूँ कि अगर उन बैठकों से विश्वसनीय परिणाम निकलते हैं तो भारत और पाकिस्तान के बीच सभी अनसुलझे मुद्दों को सुलझाने के लिए भारत तुरंत द्विपक्षीय वार्ता करने के लिए तैयार होगा। ये मैं यहाँ से घोषणा करती हूँ।
Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Nawaz Sharif during a meeting in Ufa in July had agreed to hold NSA-level talks to discuss terror, but these were cancelled at the last minute in August when Pakistan insisted on changing the agenda. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
The former diplomat, Mr. Rakesh Sood, is now joining us on the phone line. Good morning, Mr. Sood, and thank you so much for joining us this morning. Now, Mr. Sood, a very strong rebuttal of Nawaz Sharif's speech by Sushma Swaraj at the United Nations. What is your view?
Yes, you're right. I think that Foreign Minister Sushma Swaraj, in her response to Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif's speech, took a hard line, although it is not surprising because I think the fact that the NSA level talks were called off in August amidst rising controversy and mutual recriminations, it was quite clear that any efforts by Pakistan to raise the issue of Kashmir would be met by a very tough and no-nonsense kind of a rebuttal, which is what has happened. However, there is one new element where I think that we have seen a strong reference to human rights violations in Pakistani-occupied Kashmir, in Gilgit-Baltistan and Pakistani-occupied Kashmir. We've also seen some news channels carrying fairly graphic and horrifying video footage of events there. And I think that is something which is new. We have traditionally not taken up very strongly the issue of human rights violations by Pakistan in Pakistani-occupied Kashmir. But that is certainly a new development.
Right. Also, Mr. Sood, now India's response is actually probably the toughest in decades. After Nawaz Sharif played the victim card. So now with this speech, how do you think will it impact the Indo-Pak relations?
Well, tough words can be exchanged, but eventually we will have to find a way of making the line of control and the international boundary peaceful. We have to, because we know that exchanges of fires, continuous firing, etc., is not something that is helpful to the local people. So if we could do it unilaterally, I'm sure we would like to do it unilaterally. But if we cannot do it unilaterally, we will have to find a way of getting Pakistan to cooperate.
Right. Right. Thank you so much, Mr. Sood, for joining us this morning. So India's tough message to Pakistan. Creators of terror monsters should wake up. We'll get you all the details on that story in the subsequent bulletins as well. But now let's take a look at some stories from poll-bound Bihar. Well, Prime Minister Narendra Modi will return to the Bihar Assembly election campaign for the first time since the poll schedule announcement with a rally in Banka today. Now, PM Modi, BJP's chief campaigner, has already addressed 5 public rallies in the poll-bound state as a run-up to the assembly polls, beginning with Muzaffarpur and followed by Gaya, Saharsa, Ara and Bhagalpur. And now today's address in Banka will be his first official poll campaign. Modi will address at least 20 rallies in Bihar during the campaign period, stretching over a month, covering all 9 divisions of the state exhaustively. Though the list of BJP's poll campaigners includes the name of 40 party leaders, including that of party veterans L. K. Advani, Murli Manohar Joshi, Modi is the party's biggest star campaigner for this assembly polls, and he will address the maximum number of rallies as BJP and its 3 allies in the state go into elections without a chief ministerial phase against the rival JDU, RJD and Congress alliance led by present Chief Minister Nitish Kumar. Now, Narendra Modi versus Nitish Kumar match had been set 2 years ago in July 2013 when Kumar decided to quit the NDA in protest against Modi's candidature for Prime Ministership. Now, the Election Commission on Thursday issued notices to RJD President Lalu Prasad and senior BJP leader Sushil Kumar Modi in connection with the FIRs registered against them for the violation of the poll code. An FIR has already been lodged on Monday against the former Deputy Chief Minister of Bihar for allegedly inducing voters by promising colour televisions to Dalits and Mahadalits, laptops to students and money to buy dhoti saris to the poor. Now, Sushil Modi had allegedly made these promises on Monday during an address to an election meeting in favour of a BJP candidate Anand Bhushan Pandey. An FIR was also lodged against RJD President Lalu Prasad last Tuesday for making an allegedly casteist remark which the Election Commission found to be violative of election laws. Now, launching his election campaign from Raghopur in favour of his younger son Tejaswi Yadav, the RJD Supremo had described the assembly elections as a direct fight between the backward caste and forward caste, and gave a call to Yadavs and other backward caste to rally behind the secular alliance to defeat the BJP-led NDA.
भारतीय जनता पार्टी के लोग जिस तरीके के भाषण दे रहे हैं, जिस तरीके के सवालात उठा रहे हैं, जिस तरीके से देश के अंदर फिरका परस्ती पैदा कर रहे हैं, कम्युनल टेंशन पैदा करते हैं, इलेक्शन कमीशन इन तमाम बातों पर क्यों नहीं जवाब मांग रहा है?
लालू प्रसाद जी के एक वक्तव्य के बाद ही चुनाव आयोग का उनको नोटिस आ गया जांच का। ये तो सरासर बेइंसाफी है, एक तरफा निर्णय है।
And on Thursday, BJP leaders released the NDA's vision document for Bihar. Party leaders said that it provides a better alternative to the residents of the state than what the Grand Alliance leaders are offering to the state, despite ruling it for 68 years.
Vote for the NDA and the centre will stand behind Bihar. That's what BJP leader Arun Jaitley told voters on Thursday while releasing the vision document of the alliance in the presence of party president Amit Shah and other union ministers.
ये बिहार में एक चार्टर ऑफ डेवलपमेंट है और आर्थिक दृष्टि से बिहार को पिछड़ेपन से निकालने का एक संकल्प है।
Calling the Grand Alliance of the RJD, JDU and Congress a three-legged race, Jaitley warned voters of anarchy and Jungle Raj if the rival coalition came to power.
जंगल राज के जो निर्माता निर्देशक थे वही हैं। केवल अभिनेता बदलने से उसका उस शासन का, उस गठबंधन का चरित्र बदलने वाला नहीं है।
Jaitley called the Grand Alliance a contradictory coalition where followers of differing thoughts and ideologies were coming together for political gains. BJP leaders hailed the vision document, claiming that the party won the last 3 polls on the promise of freeing the state from Jungle Raj and had done nothing for the state.
हमारी 11 राज्यों में सरकारें हैं, हर राज्य में बेहतर शासन प्रशासन दिया है, तो हमारे बीजेपी शासित राज्यों में जो बेहतर काम हुए हैं उसके आधार पर हम लोगों ने एक विजन डॉक्यूमेंट बनाया है और बिहार की परिस्थितियों को में उसको ढालकर, जैसे बिहार के अंदर गरीबी बहुत ज्यादा है।
NDA's rivals dismissed the vision document, calling it an attempt to mislead the public in Bihar while diverting attention from its real objectives.
उस दस्तावेज में वादों की बौछार होगी और चुनाव के बाद अगर उन वादों को कार्यान्वित करने की बात उठे तो जुमलों की भी बौछार होगी।
सबसे पहले तो मैं मानता हूं कि ये हास्यास्पद है, जिस दल के पास, जिस विचारधारा के पास कोई विजन ना हो वो विजन डॉक्यूमेंट लेके आए। हम तो उनका विजन जानते हैं।
The NDA's document focuses on education, jobs for youth, women empowerment and infrastructure development. Chief Minister Nitish Kumar's vision document, released a few days ago, has a 7-point agenda that includes free Wi-Fi in colleges, a student credit card scheme for loans to pursue education, and an unemployment allowance. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And in other news, the NDA government's black money drive has brought 3,770 crore rupees to its kitty. A total of 638 declarations were made during the 3-month compliance window for declaring undisclosed foreign assets. The 90-day grace period ended on Wednesday.
A day after the expiry of the 3-month period for defaulters to come clean on untaxed money, the government claims to have received an amount of 3,770 crore rupees. The amount has been recovered from 638 declarations made during the grace period allowed under the new anti-black money law.
About 638 people have made declarations of undisclosed assets abroad. amounting to about 3,770 crore rupees. This is over and above the 6,500 which were disclosed in the earlier accounts, which were already known to the government, where tax proceedings have been going on.
The declarants will now have to pay tax at the rate of 30% and penalty also at the rate of 30% by the 31st of December. Tough action awaits those who did not avail the benefit of the 90-day compliance window.
Whatever has come, we accept it, and now onward we would start the action against those people who have not declared any assets and about whom the information would come to us.
जिस वक्त हमें नोटिस में आया उस वक्त से इस एक्ट पूरी फोर्स के साथ उस एसेट पे जो भी कार्रवाई है वो हम कर सकते हैं। एसेट के ऊपर टैक्स तो लगेगा 30%, उसके ऊपर 3 गुना पेनल्टी लगेगी। इसके अलावा प्रोसिक्यूशन होगा, प्रोसिक्यूशन में 10 साल तक की सजा हो सकती है।
Bringing back black money stashed abroad was a major poll promise of Prime Minister Narendra Modi's Lok Sabha campaign. In fact, the Prime Minister had even said that 15 lakh rupees would be given to every citizen if illegal wealth stashed in foreign accounts was brought back. His claim has been repeatedly panned by rival parties. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And the nation today is paying homage to the father of the nation, Mahatma Gandhi, on the occasion of his 146th birth anniversary. Now, Vice President Hamid Ansari, Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Congress President Sonia Gandhi, Union Minister Venkaiah Naidu, BJP veteran L.K. Advani and Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal visited Rajghat to pay tributes to Mahatma Gandhi. All right, the visuals are there from Rajghat. As you can see, Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Vice President Hamid Ansari, and there you were seeing now BJP leader Venkaiah Naidu there. Everybody is paying homage to the father of the nation on his 146th birth anniversary. There you can see Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal. All the dignitaries are there paying their homage to the father of the nation. Vice President Mohammad Hamid Ansari there paying his tributes to the father of the nation. Now, the centre's Clean India Mission completes 1 year today. Prime Minister Modi had launched the Clean India Mission on 2nd of October last year during Mahatma Gandhi's birth anniversary. When asked about the success of the mission, the government has said that it is difficult to quantify the success, but it has managed to make a change in the mindsets of people. Now, listing the achievements of the mission, Union Minister Venkaiah Naidu said that based on reports received till the end of August, the states of Gujarat, Madhya Pradesh, Karnataka, Punjab, Chhattisgarh, Andhra Pradesh, Rajasthan and Haryana have been the top 8 performers in the respect of construction of individual household toilets. The minister said that if a household toilet sanctioned for under construction were also taken into consideration, then Bihar and Telangana also joined the ranks. Naidu said that the estimated cost of the Swachh Bharat mission in urban areas was 66,009 crore rupees.
Given the unique nature of Swachh Bharat mission, our primary objective is to reach out to the minds of the people and sensitize them towards the need for adopting right behavioral attitudes. To put it simply, this involves motivating the people towards avoiding littering as they like, keeping one's own household, surrounding and office environment clean, and deciding against open defecation. This is primarily behavioral change that is essential for success of this mission.
And in a breakfast bulletin, we'll take a very short break. But coming up after that, US President Barack Obama, emotional and angry reaction to the Oregon college shooting in which 13 people were killed. We'll get you details on that and more international news. Stay with us.
Political slugfest intensifies in Bihar. regional leaders fight a do-or-die battle. Who wins Bihar and who loses relevance? Watch Verdict 2015 on Rajya Sabha Television.
Now, up to 13 people have been killed in a shooting at a college in the U.S. state of Oregon. The 20-year-old gunman opened fire at the students inside the campus before being shot down by the police. Now, President Barack Obama, angered by the shooting, said that such incidents should move Americans to demand greater gun controls.
The site of yet another mass shooting in the United States, Umpqua Community College in Oregon. The rampage began in the college's Snyder Hall shortly after 10:30 a.m. local time. The 20-year-old suspect opened fire at a classroom with what is believed to be a long gun. The police was quick to respond to the attack, more than 100 police officers gathering at the spot. But 13 people lost their lives in the shootout and at least 20 more were wounded, many still battling for their lives. Wounded students and faculty members were bused to the nearby grounds where they could be picked up by their families. Witnesses recount the horror and chaos inside the school during those critical hours.
We were ushered into the back room where we were all sitting, we were all gathered back there, and there wasn't that many of us. There wasn't that many in the bookstore, but we were gathered there and we were just standing all around, not sure completely what was going on, but what we knew, we thought was gunshots. We had to, I don't know how to describe it.
The police confirmed that the suspect was gunned down in an exchange of fire, but the motive behind the killing is not known yet. Reports have surfaced that the shooter had warned of his intentions on social media. 4 guns belonging to the shooter were also recovered from the scene.
The shooter is deceased. Along with the major crimes team and the other agencies that I mentioned, we will be conducting a thorough, and I'm sure it'll be a rather lengthy investigation into why and how many and all the answers that we can possibly determine.
An emotional and angry president spoke just hours after the tragedy. Obama called for stricter gun controls from officials, clearly directing his anger towards the powerful National Rifle Association gun lobby for blocking reform.
It cannot be this easy for somebody who wants to inflict harm on other people to get his or her hands on a gun. And what's become routine, of course, is the response of those who oppose any kind of common sense gun legislation.
We have got to get the political will to do everything we can to keep people safe. You know, I know there is a way to have sensible gun control measures that help prevent violence, prevent guns from getting into the wrong hands, and save lives. And I am committed to doing everything I can to achieve that.
This is the 15th such mass killing to rock the United States this year. The repeated incidents of mass killings at college campuses, movie theaters, military bases and churches also highlights the need for better care for the mentally ill. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Now, the US is accusing Russia of carrying out random airstrikes against the Syria opposition, causing loss of civilian lives in the process. Now, Moscow has assured the strikes will be limited in scope and only targeted at terrorists, but the distrust and the opposing stance on the Syrian war has hampered coordination of efforts against the Islamic State militants.
The first of a series of US-Russia talks did little to ease out tensions. The White House insists the Russian airstrikes against militants in Syria are indiscriminate and only threatens to draw Russia more deeply into the crisis.
The reports are coming from a variety of sources. It would be a rather apt and an even powerful illustration of how Russia's military intervention inside of Syria, focused on an indiscriminate bombing of Syrian opposition targets, has worsened the sectarian conflict there.
In concept, but we are not yet where we need to be to guarantee the safety and security and division of responsibility. And that is a discussion that is taking place today, and it will take place even more so over the course of the next few days, depending on the outcome today. But we're working at that even now.
But Russia maintained that it is targeting the same terror groups as the US-led coalition, and the strikes would be limited in scope. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov rejected suggestions that Moscow was trying to bolster the Syrian military.
Другие страны уже больше года наносят удары по сирийской территории. Больше года. Без резолюции Совета Безопасности ООН и без соответствующего запроса сирийских официальных властей. У нас такой запрос есть, и мы намерены бороться именно с террористическими организациями.
Russia said it does not consider the opposition Free Russian Army a terrorist group and it should be part of the political process.
ولا يوجد إرهاب متطرف، كلهم إرهابيون دخلوا وسلموا أسلحتهم لجبهة النصرة وداعش، وهو ما ذكره الرئيس أوباما وأيضا وزير الخارجية الروسي. لذلك لا يوجد لدينا إلا مجموعات إرهابية متطرفة تحاول أن تفرض وجودها وتحاول أن تواجه الجيش السوري حاليا.
On the second day of their air campaign, Russian jets struck targets near the cities of Hama and Homs in western Syria. Russia said it had hit IS ammunition dumps and command centers. The attacks have raised the danger of Washington and Moscow running airstrikes concurrently and in the same region, but without coordination. Moscow's sudden decision to join the war in Syria could mark a pivotal turning point in the 4-year-long civil war. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And more international news and updates in World Wrap. United Nations Secretary General Ban Ki-moon held talks with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu at the UN headquarters in New York. The meeting came after Netanyahu used his annual UN address to launch an all-out assault on the historic nuclear deal with Iran, warning that his country would never let the Islamic Republic join the atomic weapons club. NASA has released new high-resolution images of Pluto's largest moon, Charon. The images taken by the New Horizons spacecraft reveals that Charon is covered with mountains, canyons, landslides and other geographical markers. Now, higher-resolution images are expected to continue to arrive to Earth throughout the year as New Horizons continues to transmit the data stored in its digital recorders. New Horizons is currently 5 billion kilometers away from Earth. An Israeli couple traveling with their 4 young children have been shot dead in a drive-by shooting in West Bank. The couple were traveling between the Jewish settlements of Itamar and Elon Moreh. The children aged between 4 months and 9 years were reported to be injured. The shooting came hours after Israeli Prime Minister said that he was prepared to resume talks with the Palestinians. 4 soldiers were killed by Kurdish militants in 3 separate attacks in Turkey. 2 Turkish soldiers were gunned down by Kurdish militants. 1 soldier was killed in eastern town where explosives planted on the road were detonated by remote control, while another was killed in clashes between Kurdish insurgents and security forces in the northeast town of Nusaybin. Meanwhile, clashes broke out when security forces launched an operation in neighborhood in the southeast province of Sirnak to fill the trenches dug by the militants of the outlawed Kurdistan Workers' Party. Pakistan has ordered all international aid agencies to renew their registration with the government within 60 days. Under the new policy, international NGOs would have to register online within the next 60 days and would be told within 60 days of registering whether or not they had permission to operate in Pakistan. The announcement of new guidelines under the difficulties this is in view of the difficulties that foreigners face while working in Pakistan. Well, on to sports now, and India will take on South Africa in the first 2020 international of the 3-match series in Dharamshala today. With Indian skipper Mahendra Singh Dhoni back on seat after 3 months, the visitors Proteas suffered a rude awakening in Delhi as they lost their T20 practice game against India A. Now, India boasts of a strong batting lineup with opener Shikhar Dhawan back in action after recovering from injury. Now, South Africa will be without star pacer Dale Steyn and Morne Morkel.
Preparations have been really good. As I said, we had a decent time. We were in Bangalore for a few days. We had our fitness camp over there, followed by 3 days of skill-specific net sessions and everything. And now again we are here for quite some time, 3-4 days.
The South African team is travelling India with, I suppose, the know-how that we've got a spinner that can also win us games. No disrespect to guys that's come in the past, but Imran has proven it right across the world that he changes games.
That's all in this news bulletin. Thanks for watching.